for humans, and there is a offer in World of Tanks Blitz right now about these. It only goes for a day, so if you're watching this video after today, then those probably don't count for you anymore. However, they might be quite a good reference for the prices of these vehicles in the future, because getting the Löwe for €10 is about the best deal you can have. This is an amazing premium tank. You know, it has one of the very highest credit coefficients, and it is also a very good tank as well. The Tiger 131 can be a very fun little vehicle, but then again, compared to the Löwe, it is quite overpriced. The Panther M10 and the Panther 88 are very bad, so even though they're cheap, I would not recommend them. And the same goes for this bundle. I wouldn't really recommend it because obviously the Panther 88 and the Panther M10 are pretty much no more than just free credits. So let's have a look at Blitz stars, and what you can see here, basically, that's in the middle of almost everything. You have 310 alpha damage, which is what also the MX and the T4 have. You have 2200 DPM, which is good enough, and is better than the 400 alpha damage or 420 alpha damage Russian and Chinese tanks. You also have a lot better penetration, which is great, because obviously the more penetration you have, the less APCR you have to shoot, and the more credits you can make, because obviously APCR does cost money. So this penetration thing is also a great thing to make credits with. Then the gun is also very accurate, as you can see right here, compared to a lot of the others. You know, 0.299 dispersion here, which is very good. The gun depression is 8 degrees, which isn't as good as the MX or the T4 or even the E750 TITS, but it is most of the time good enough. Then the mobility, this is where this thing lags back a bit, because it's not really that fast. Now, let's not be mistaken here. The AMX M4 MLE and the T4 E2 are better tanks than this tank, undoubtedly. However, they cost a lot more than this vehicle, and that's the point of this video right here. Now, while it's not an amazing vehicle on its own, it is for €10. You ain't gonna probably get a better deal. And that also continues with the armor of this vehicle. While good enough, it's not amazing. Now, the front plate here at 260mm, which means that they are going to bounce quite a lot of shots here. Lower plate's a weak spot, like on any tank. The sides can be used for side scraping somewhat. However, you have this sticky out plate that you can get pinned through, so you want to watch out for that. Also, the sides of the turret can be relatively weak, or pretty much most of the time are relatively weak if you hit it in the right spots. 170mm of relative armor here. Then this plate, 250mm, can be penned, but not necessarily. And the massive gun mantlet is pretty much impenetrable. I mean, if you use the gun depression, you can relatively hide all the weak spots. But this tank is more, weirdly enough, it's more of a second line heavy tank because of the accuracy. And so you don't really want to push in completely like you would do with other tanks like this. Now let's get into the battle with the Löwe, and now obviously what has to be said that this is not an amazing tank by any means. The T42 is better, the MX M449 is better, probably the 112-2 is also better, but this is about, what is it, €10, something like that maybe, at best, worth of gold, while a AMX M449 is sold for like 15, 20 euros of gold. So in that sense, and with how much credits this thing can make, I think it's definitely worth getting this one because it's cheap and it's also good enough. It's not great, but it is definitely good enough. And what you want to do with this tank is you don't want to be at the absolute front line, because while you have good armor, it isn't amazing. It's more of that a heavier armor rather than full-on super heavy, because it looks massive and it's not very fast, but the armor, it's there, but it is not really amazing. And as you can see right there, straight through the turret as well. So Citroen is probably also a better tank, but it's also massively more expensive, so there is that. And this thing is very good at making crits, and that is what it is good for. That is what it's for. That is what this tank is meant to do. It's to make crits. Make you a shit ton of credits, because obviously you have a high credit coefficient and you have high AP penetration, and you also have a very accurate gun, which means it's hard to miss, it's hard to not penetrate, and that means you're gonna make quite a lot of credits if you do well with this thing. Obviously, you have to be somewhat of a decent player to make it work, and because it doesn't play itself. But as long as you're somewhat of a decent player at the game, you're gonna be pretty much fine with this vehicle. Okay, now, I don't want to get shot by the KV-4 or the Brigitte for that matter. So Oh, he knows me. Hello. Yeah, hit that like and subscribe button while we're at it, eh? Okay, now. I think that this is not great. I mean, the Himmelsdorf map's pretty weird because it doesn't really have a bad side and a good side most of the time. It depends on which side do you push to win. So it's a bit weird map, but anyway. Okay, now I got the IS-5 guy behind me. Let's use the accuracy of this tank to... Nice. Beautiful. And now we think could go after the Centurion or the T-28 Defender here. That'd be very nice. Again, very accurate gun. Works very nice. I hope someone is going to take out that guy back there. And now the Centurion is going to come looking at me. And so is the T-28 Defender, so I'm going to pull back here. I'm going to... Yep. Let's see what we can do. He's going to reload before me, so I'm just going to try and chill here. I can't shoot through this gap. Would be nice if you could. But unfortunately, he's not a thing. Hold on. He is not looking. Not looking. See what we can do. If he's going to peek, I can shoot him. Obviously, I would have to use APCR here, which... Oof. Isn't really that great for premium ammo. And now what they're doing here basically is they're going to push out. Because the Centurion rather is going to push out because he knows. However, this thing is not completely useless in terms of armor. So you can bounce quite a couple of shots here. If you keep it angled properly, you might survive for a bit of time. Especially if you actually have health. And that's 3,000 damage so far, which is not too bad. It's not the greatest of games, but you can kind of see that what this tank can do. Even though it's not the best. But for 10 euros, I mean, you're not going to get a better deal pretty much. There are very few premium tanks that could offer a price to credit earning ratio like this one. Okay, now let's get into the second battle here with the Löwe. Now, quick word about the Tiger 131. Now, obviously I'm not going to play it in this game because it's not really that interesting. I think if you like history, if you like the Tiger 131, or if you just want a fun little tier 6 to Seal Club or something like that, I think the Tiger 131 can certainly be worth it as well. Because, I mean, it's not that expensive. And I think it can certainly be a funny little vehicle. However, obviously the best one is this one. The Panther 88 and the Panther M10, they're just wastes of credits pretty much. So if you get the big bundle, then basically you're buying the Löwe and the Tiger and a bunch of free credits. Or your win rate is going to die if you do actually start playing the Panther 88 and the Panther M10. But anyway, that much about those. So let's now see what we can do here. This is obviously a tier 9 battle, so I want to be a bit more careful. And you don't want to do what the Leopard is doing. You don't want to go into straight up frontline combat. That is not what this tank is for. This is more a second line vehicle. So do not push in with this vehicle. Alright? Play a bit from a distance, play it safe, but obviously don't camp like that guy's doing, who's camping in a position that is completely and utterly useless. Yeah. He's basically waiting for us to die so that he can get 200 damage and then get wrecked and lose. That's what the Borzik's doing right now. Okay, now I'm going to try to push forward. It's not the best of ideas because that might lead to, yes, me being rushed and pushed. So that's why I'm going to back off again. Because obviously the WT is coming there as well. And I'm going to take a lot of damage here because obviously the armor in this vehicle isn't really any good. And let's fire back. Okay, 400 HP. It's not that great. But 1995 could do something, maybe. Like, he's not supposed to be here. He should maybe try to do something useful with the WT. And now I'm gonna die. Or not. Depends. Let's see what is gonna happen here. Obviously, I don't really wanna... Oh, there's the 8 degrees of gun depression coming in. Could have been 10, but didn't have him. So now T95's coming. And he's dead. Thank you, T95. Very nice of you. And M4190. There we go. Pretty close. Load the HE. Didn't quite do what it's supposed to be, but anyway. Now. Yep. 4-6 now somewhat moved forward. And now the point here is to use the T95 as my shield, you know, to be that second line heavy that isn't right there in the beginning, but that is very useful from the back and does the damage. Even though I'm not really that much HP, you know, I can still be very effective with the T95, and that's all about positioning. That's all about doing the right moves. And unlike that M4190, who, what the hell? Where did that shot go? I'd like to know that one. All right, that was the weirdest miss ever. Okay, there we go, and and that is very nice. Now we have all those. Oh, so the Baltic's dead. Imagine, like, that's kind of the worst thing, you know, when a guy camps the entire game and they push and then they immediately die. It's a bit weak, but anyway. Now what I'm gonna do? The T28 can't one-shot me. The IS-3 can't one-shot me, so I'm gonna go for it. Obviously, the main goal should be the IS-3 because he has more HP, so more damage and more credits as well. And now we're going down to the T28 Defender, 2.3k damage. So this is more of a, I guess, decent game here. He's dead, 3 kills. So let's see what credits we got here. And for 10 euros, I think it is definitely a good deal, this vehicle. And yeah, 2.4k damage. We can see right here. We're gonna go to this absolutely weird new system. We're gonna go here, where we earned a total of 87,000 credits with a premium account and ended up at 77,000. If you don't have a premium account, you're still gonna make 50k. So even though this wasn't really a great game, we still did up ending with quite a big profit. And for 10 euros, this is absolutely worth it, gotta say. Unless, that has to be said, you're not a fan of heavy tanks like this. Unless you want to have like a light tank, a medium tank, then obviously it might not be the best purchase. But overall, I think with the price and with how much credits this can make, I think even if you're not a big fan of heavies like this, it can be very useful just to get a bit of extra credits.